We're up. What's up, Joel? How are you? Good to see you, brother.
I'm good. Thanks for having me, man.
I'm very happy to talk to you because, I think that what you teach applies to not just archery, but it applies to life. It applies to anxiety-filled situations. And you have figured out this one element of archery that so many people can't seem to put their finger on. And it's the anxiety of the shot.
Yeah.
You have figured this out in a way that is so useful, and it's so repeatable, and I think it's so important. And I think a lot of people are going to go, what you're going to just talk about archery shots? I think this applies to life.
Yeah.
What you've done with your shot IQ system. And so let me explain to people that don't understand this. Bow hunting and archery, especially competitive archery, it oftentimes boils down to this one moment. And when you have one moment and there's so much anxiety on this one moment, people have a tendency to panic and to rush through things. And I think people have found that in life, in many situations, in different occupations, in different practices and disciplines, this anticipation and anxiety of one moment where they lose their mind and they don't even remember what happened.
Right.
It's like, oh, yeah. And they can't keep their shit together. You have figured out a way to make a system where you have very clear, defined guidelines that people can follow, where they could stay in the moment and not lose their fucking mind at this moment of anticipation.
Right.
And I think the success speaks to itself. Your son, who's an incredible archer, who's been taught by you, using your methods, is now, what is he, #1 in the world?
Well, the ranking system is weird, but he's won every major indoor archery event that there is. He won,
and he's 15.
Well, he just turned 16.
Oh,
yeah,
boy,
so
he's old.
He's driving now, so that's scary as hell. But so he won Vegas at 15. He turned 15 the day before, and then he wins Vegas, which is the biggest indoor archery shoot there is.
It's huge.
Yeah, and then just to watch him up there is just amazing to know that, I can watch him, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going in, right? Just you can see it in their eye, and I see this in a lot of people that they don't have that look, they have that anxiety, that look is like, oh, what's happening? And they're just letting things happen. And with Bodie, he's just like, this is going in. It was so funny because he just won Lancaster, the Lancaster Classic, which is another huge indoor archery shoot. And when you shoot Lancaster, you're in the practice range. And he came in first seed because he shot the second ever. Well, there's been, I think, 5 people now in history that have shot 4 people that have shot a 660 qualification round.
Now let's explain what that means.
That is hitting a penny every time. 60 arrows in a row.
Which is insane.
At 20 yards.
The amount of concentration involved in that. And a lot of people are like, 20 yards is not that far. Listen.
It's a penny.
You're shooting a penny,
yeah, right.
And you're shooting it 60 times in a row.
In a row, right.
Which is the possibility of just a little fuck up. And when you're at like number 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and every one of them, flop, flop.
Yeah, so he shoots a 660, so he shot one 660 last year, so he was the third one in history to do it, and then this year he did it again, so now he's the first person in history to shoot 2 660s back-to-back. So then he comes in the elimination rounds, wins those, and so he comes in first seed for the big shoot-off, which is you're up on a stage, and it's just you, it's head-to-head, so it's you and another person. And when you start, you come in first seed, the person that's in front of you that maybe came in 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever, they get to shoot out on the stage against somebody, so they actually get to zero their bow because the lighting's different, and it's huge. You're trying to hit this penny, and then they have a 12 ring that's the size of their arrow. Basically, it's like 27 diameter, 27/64 diameter. It's no bigger than their arrow.
And that's off to the side.
And it's down below, so if you miss that, you get a 7 or an 8, and you're out.
Yeah.
You're done at that point. So he comes in first seed, and he misses the X on a couple of them, and then the other person misses the X. And it's funny because you can see him, he's up there, and he always clicks his sight. And I'm like, how many clicks was that? He's like, it was just enough. I mean, it's like you can't even tell what he
So
does.
he's just adjusting.
Yeah, so he's adjusting to
tiny
the
bit.
lighting, and so he comes in, he shoots those two 10s, not an X, and then he starts. Then he hits a inside out, and he turns. I'm in the coach's box behind him. He turns to me and goes, "It's sighted in now." And I'm like, "Sweep the leg, boy." Right? That's what I always tell. Sweep the leg, and then it was just donut after donut after that, and then the other guy caught up, shot a 12 to catch him, and so now they got 3 arrows shoot off, and it's the first arrow is for score, and they have that 12 ring, and Bodie's sitting there listening to the guy, and Bodie's got his stabilizer, because everybody usually there's a red button on the stage. If you hit that red button, you then it's a 12. Then you got to shoot for the 12. So he hits the red button, but he hits it with a stabilizer. So the guy's explaining the shoot off, and Bodie's just hovering his stabilizer over, just looking at the guy, right? And he's like, "Are you done yet? Are you done yet?" And finally just dunk, and he hits that red button with his stabilizer, and then just shoots a 12. And the other guy missed the 12, so it was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome to see.
Tell everybody your background. How did you get into this? Like, tell your background with SWAT and all that.
So I started shooting at a really young age, but I was obsessed with shooting. Like I have 2 older brothers, and when we turned 9 years old, my dad would buy us a BB gun. And my 2 older brothers didn't shoot them that much. I broke both of their BB guns. I shot them so much. So when I turned 9, I got a Daisy 880 power line. By God, that is some highfalutin stuff, right, for me. So I get this 880 power line. I shot it so much I broke it. Air rifles, 22 long rifles, I was good, right? You put me on a centerfire rifle like my dad did when I was 5 years old shooting a 30-30, I was worthless. As soon as you get your sight on, man, I would just hammer the crap out of that trigger. And that followed me through adolescence, early teens, 20s, right?
So we should explain that hammering is like you're jerking the trigger.
You're jerking the trigger, which...
Anxiety.
Yeah, so now I know that that's the core problem in shooting, right? Your mind will not allow you to cause your body impact as a surprise. And it took me a lifetime to figure out what the true problem was. And that's where everybody's kind of skipped around it. So there I am at 5 years old shooting this 30-30. Oh, I pressed the trigger perfectly one time. And as soon as I felt that recoil the second time, when I racked that lever and I shot it the second time, I guarantee you I closed my eyes, clenched my body as I pressed the trigger.
So you're worried about the recoil.
Yeah, it all gets linked together. It's smoke, fire, noise, all kinds of negative things that happen, right? And I was experiencing the same thing in archery. I started shooting a bow when I was 7.